All right, good morning. Let's start on our mats today on our backs. But uh, bend the legs, bring the soles of the feet to the mat. And as you lie back, just lift the chest to set the shoulders back down onto the mat. Arms can come out to the sides. And then cross the right leg high up over the left leg. So you want to cross as high up as you can. You can just let the right leg relax a little bit. Make sure you're even on the hips. Sometimes you go way over to the left so you can cross that leg. And then bring the knees in toward the chest, keeping the legs crossed. And you can hang on to that bottom knee to keep the legs there. So it's nice and relaxed. Eyes can stay closed or open, but go inside for a moment. If you're comfortable closing the eyes, that's always a good way to settle in. Take a deeper breath in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Big breath in through the nose, fill all the way up. Take your time. Exhale out of the mouth, let it go. Another breath in. Another breath out of the mouth. This time in through the nose, back out through the nose. Stay with this Ujjayi breath. Maybe bring the knees in a little bit more. Blink open the eyes. Stay with this breath. Keep the inner thighs squeezing together, but then start to release the clasp of the hands out by the sides. Keep the legs crossed so that you bring the cross up toward the ankles. So legs are straighter instead of bent. Inner thighs are still hugging together. Cross at the ankles, right foot in front of the left foot. And interlace the fingers back behind the head. Or you can just grab the head with the fingertips. You can see which one feels better for support. Look up, hug the belly in, take an inhale in through the nose. On the exhale, lift up. Inhale back, keep that hugging in of the legs. Exhale up. Inhale back, belly hugs in. Exhale up, belly still hugs in. Inhale back. Exhale up, stay up, move the legs away from you, keep squeezing the thighs together, maybe like a third of the way, maybe less. You'll feel it right away. Inhale back, exhale up, keep squeezing the legs, it'll help. Inhale back, exhale up, inhale back, exhale up. Inhale back this time, exhale up, stay up, hover the legs either 2/3 of the way, halfway, see where the challenge is. You can even hover the legs if that's easier, just above the mat, or go up higher. Inhale back, exhale up, just 3 of these. Inhale back, exhale up, inhale back, exhale up, lift the legs all the way back up to where we started, bend the legs, set the feet back down to the mat, set the head back down to the mat, rest. Release the hands out from underneath you, cross the left leg high up over the right leg. Level off the hips, then bring the knees in toward the chest. You can hang on to that bottom knee. Come back to the breath. And let's start to extend the legs up, keeping the crossing of the legs. This time the left foot's in front of the right. Bring the hands back behind the head. Inhale with the head on the mat. Exhale, lift the shoulder blades up away from the mat. Inhale back. Exhale up, elbows wide. Inhale back. Exhale up. Keep looking up. Inhale back. Exhale up. This time, inhale back. Exhale up. Move the feet away from you. Keep squeezing the thighs together, maybe just like a third of the way. So they're away from the hips. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Bring it back up on the exhale. This time, inhale back. Exhale up. Now find where your challenge is. You could stay right where you are. Inhale back. Only 3. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Inhale back. Exhale up. Bring the legs back up. Set the head back down onto the mat. Bend the legs. Set the feet down. Move the hands out from underneath you. Roll over to one side. Use the hands to bring yourself up to seated. Then to hands and knees. And you'll come down onto your stomach. So stretch the feet back. Come onto the forearms. Set the hips down onto the mat. Let's take Sphinx pose to stretch that out. So elbows underneath the shoulders, chest nice and wide. And back of the neck is long, so that means that you're looking down the bridge of the nose. Legs are still firm. Feet are hip width distance apart, so they shouldn't be touching, and that preserves the space in your lower back. Then start to walk the arms out in front of you. So now you're lying down prone, forehead down on the mat. Stretch the arms away from the feet. Get as long as you can, but hug that belly in and shift the tailbone back. Then lift the head up, just looking forward over the fingertips. Keep pressing down into the feet, lifting the navel away from the mat. Lift the arms up and then cactus the arms. Lift the chest. So it's like you're bringing the elbows down by the waist. And then inhale, reach forward. Keep everything lifted. Just get nice and long. And exhale, elbows back by the waist. So it should feel like you're doing a pull-up in the shoulders. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, lift up, nice and open across the whole back using those back muscles. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, cactus the arms, bring the elbows in toward the body. One more. Inhale, forward. Exhale, elbows down by the waist. Then bring the hands just by the lower ribs, like you're setting up for cobra. Feet are right where they need to be. Those were a lot of back bends. Maybe you take a deeper cobra and you lift the chest away from the mat a little bit more than you usually do. Just keep pointing the tailbone back, chest nice and open, breathing where you are. And then exhale, release. Come to hands and knees, tabletop, round the spine. You're coming right into cat pose. Let the chin come toward the chest, press into the tops of the feet. Then inhale, forward, cow. And keep going on your own. Stay with your breath. One more round. Ending with cat pose, rounded spine. Come back to neutral. Tuck the toes, staying in your tabletop. And you're tucking all 10 toes, so even that pinky toe is down on the mat. Look forward. Make sure the shoulders are stacked right over the wrists. Hug the belly in, and then start to hover the knees an inch away from the mat. So feel like the inner thighs are still engaged, almost like you have a block between the thighs that you're trying to squeeze together. Keep lifting the knees up with the abdomen, not the lower back. Come to downward facing dog. So lift the hips all the way up and back. You'll probably have to walk the hands forward to get that length of your stance right where it needs to be. It's a little short coming from tabletop. In this down dog for several breaths. So any kind of movement you want, take it. Then glide forward to plank pose. Stack the shoulders over the wrists. Heels are over the balls of the feet. Look forward a little bit so you get nice and long in the front side of the body. Then lowering down halfway chaturanga, point the elbows straight back. Hover here, push back up to plank pose. One more of those if you want it. Lower down halfway chaturanga, a little bit of a hold, push back up, plank pose, downward facing dog, up and back. From downward facing dog, start to walk the hands forward, or start to walk the feet forward toward the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together overhead and down in front of the heart. Fold all the way back down over the legs. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway chaturanga. Up dog if you're ready for it. We already did some of those back bends at the beginning. Keep stretching the legs back behind you. Hug the belly in and then take it back. Downward facing dog. Few breaths in your downward facing dog. Feeling the body starting to open up. This is one of the best stretches that truly gets into the whole body. So feel like those arms are getting longer, legs are getting longer, hips are going up and back a little bit more. Then look forward, bend the knees, step, walk, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, hands come down to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down with control, chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Heels are coming down toward the mat. They don't have to touch, but you do want to feel some length there so you get that stretch. Bend the knees, look forward, feet forward. Inhaling up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Bring the palms together overhead and down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold all the way down. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down, back to plank pose. Lower down halfway chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Feel the length in your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Right leg lifts up and back. Step the right foot forward all the way up between the hands. Lengthen the back leg. Keep the right knee stacked over the right ankle. And then look forward. That left knee's reaching way back. Start to set it down onto the mat. You can untuck the toes so the top of the foot comes to the mat. Reach the arms up, low lunge. Hands come back down to the mat. Tuck those back toes, extend the back legs, step back to downward facing dog. Left leg lifts up and back. Left foot steps up between the hands. Find that long runner's lunge with the fingertips down on the mat. Keep reaching the chest forward. Stretch that right heel back. Get really long. Keep that right knee reaching way back. Start to set it down on the mat. Untuck the toes. Top of the foot comes on the mat. And there's some pressure in the top of that back foot, also the left heel. Reach the arms all the way up, coming back into that lunge. Hands come back down to the mat. Tuck the back toes, extend the back legs, step back to downward facing dog. Inhale forward to plank pose. One forearm at a time, forearm plank. In your forearm plank, hands are pressing down into the mat. So are the forearms. Keep reaching the chest forward, stretching the legs back. Right forearm can come in a little bit, roll onto the outer edges of the heels, bringing the heels over to the right. Left arm reaches up. So I have my left foot staggered in front of my right. Lift the hips up. Keep reaching up. And you'll feel those right side obliques helping you lift the hips up, but then getting longer at the same time as you open up across the chest and bring the tailbone down toward the heels. Those inner thighs are squeezing together like you have the crossed legs. Left forearm comes back down to the mat, back to forearm plank. Find your center in forearm plank. Left forearm comes in a little bit. Both heels come over to the left. Reach the right arm up. Forearm side plank on the other side. Lengthen the legs as you squeeze those inner thighs together. Lift the hips up. Feel those left side obliques as you push the mat away from you. Forearm comes back down to the mat, back to forearm plank. This time, bring the knees down to the mat. And you want to walk the knees up so they're underneath the hips. You can start to walk the elbows forward, bring the forehead down to the mat. You're in puppy dog. Pretty open. If you're good here, stay here, or you can bring the hands together like prayer and back behind the head. If you take that option, it's always nice to start to crawl the elbows forward and you'll feel a pull. That's a nice little, you just feel longer in the sides of the body. Keep the belly hugging in a little bit to protect the lower back. Then release the hands back down to the mat. If you have them behind the head, look forward. Start to walk the forearms back in so that the elbows are underneath the shoulders. Come back to forearm plank. One hand at a time, plank pose. Downward facing dog. Feeling that upper body start to open up a little bit more. Shoulders are able to go a little wider in your downward facing dog. Right leg lifts up and back. Step the right foot up between the hands. Hop that back foot in for warrior one. So seal the heel if you can. Look forward, reach the arms forward and all the way up. Vira one. Square the hips, square the chest. Keep that lunge in the front leg as you straighten the left. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Fold forward, humble warrior. Go slow. See if you can keep the hands together. It's not necessary. Little bend in the knee, in the elbows. If the right hip is swinging out, hug it in a little bit so it's right behind the right knee. With control, bring it back up to warrior one. Little bit of a back bend in your warrior one. You can even look up. On the exhale, hands come down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Vinyasa if you want one on the way back to downward facing dog. Left leg lifts up and back. Step that left foot through up between the hands. Hop the back foot in so you can get that heel down. Warrior one. Reach the arms forward and up. Interlace the fingers behind the back, one finger over. Take your time folding forward, humble warrior. Keep that left knee over the left ankle. Try not to grip the toes. See if you can just rest them on the mat. Back up, warrior one. Try not to swing up, but using slow strength to bring yourself back up. Find the back bend in your warrior one. Next, exhale, bring the hands down to the mat, step back to plank pose, work your way back to downward facing dog with or without the vinyasa. Bend the knees, look forward, feet forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Sit back, reach the arms up. Hugging the belly in, staying strong in the legs and lifting that chest up. Come all the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat, step back to plank pose. Vinyasa, lowering down halfway. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Right leg lifts up and back. Step that right foot forward, up between the hands. Left heel down, back to warrior one. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Humble warrior. Release the clasp of the hands. Warrior one. Find a little bit of a back bend. Exhale, bring the hands down, step back to plank pose. You choose if you want the vinyasa. Left leg lifts up and back. Step the left foot up between the hands. Find warrior one. Take your time. You go at your own pace. You follow your own breath. Interlace the fingers behind the back, one finger over. Take it into humble warrior. Back up, warrior one. Reach the heart up to the sky. And exhale, bring the hands back down to the mat, step back to plank pose, make your way back, downward facing dog. Really nice up dogs. Bend the knees, look forward, maybe hop the feet forward, look way beyond your hands, and bring the feet up between the hands, nice and light. Inhale up halfway, exhale, fold, chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair. Forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down. Step back to plank pose, optional vinyasa. Back to downward facing dog. Right leg lifts up and back. Step the right foot up between the hands, warrior one. Square everything forward, interlace the fingers behind the back, fold forward, humble warrior. Back to warrior one. Exhale the hands down, back to downward facing dog. Any way you want to get there. Left leg reaches up and back. Step that left foot forward, warrior one. Interlace the fingers, one finger over, humble warrior. Back up, warrior one. And hands down to the mat, step back to plank pose, work your way back, downward facing dog. Once you get to downward facing dog, take a deeper breath in through the nose. Sigh it out the mouth. Lift the right leg up and back. Step that right foot forward up between the hands. Come back to that long runner's lunge that we did at the beginning. So reach the heart forward, stretch that left leg way back. Keep reaching back with the left knee as you slowly start to bring that left knee down to the mat. Untuck the toes. Left hand underneath the left shoulder. You could even use a block underneath the left hand to give yourself more space. Just an option. Right hand comes to the hip, open up the chest to the right. So you can stay right here, or you can bend that back leg, reach back, grab the foot. And you're bringing that foot in toward the glute. If the foot's not there and you don't have a strap to loop the foot, just don't even try with the foot. Just keep the right hand on the hip. You're still getting a nice stretch and hip opening. But if you have the foot, bring the foot in. And then gently release the foot. Bring the hands back down to the mat. Set the block off to the side if you're using it. Tuck those back toes back to your lunge. Press out through the heel, the left heel. Then hop the back foot in, similar to what we did for warrior one. So that back heel is down, front leg is straight. You're coming into pyramid pose. So both legs are straight. Look forward and lift the chest halfway. You can keep the fingertips on the mat or hands on blocks. Square the hips. So that right hip is coming back and the left hip is reaching forward. And now you can fold over the legs. So this is a pretty deep stretch. That back heel doesn't want to stay down. You can either hop the foot in more to shorten the stance, or you can leave it lifted, but see if you can get the heel down ideally. And your feet are a little bit separated, so there should be a gap between the heels of the feet. No wider than hip width distance. Legs are straight, head's heavy. Then come up onto the fingertips. Look forward, you're just coming up like halfway. Keep scissoring those inner thighs. Float the hands to the waist, press all the way up to standing. Legs stay exactly the same. From here, clasp opposite elbows behind the back. Or if you feel open enough, take reverse prayer. Hands come together, turn the fingertips to point up between the shoulder blades, open up across the chest. If it's too much, just clasp opposite elbows. You can even take reverse fists. Press down into the legs, square the hips so that right hip comes back, left hip forward. Reach up with the heart and then just come forward halfway or maybe less. Once you feel that lower back rounding, you've gone too far and you need to lift up a little bit. But leading with the heart, chest is nice and open. Coming halfway so we keep those legs turned on. Should feel different than when we were all the way down. Keep breathing, Ujjayi breath. See if you can get longer. And slowly rise all the way back up to standing. Keep the arms the way that they are. Once the head's over the hips, let the hands go. Just let the arms be nice and loose, shaking them out. Then inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold all the way down. Step back to plank pose. Vinyasa, back to downward facing dog. Right leg might feel longer than the left leg. Left leg reaches up and back. Step that left foot forward up between the hands. Get into that long runner's lunge. Shift that right foot back if you can a little bit more. Now set the back knee down, untuck the toes. Maybe use a block underneath that right hand or stay on the fingertips, right hand underneath the right shoulder. Reach back with that left arm, either hand to hip or bend the leg. See if the foot's there. Bring it in. So getting into that quad, which is a really tight area for most of us, especially when you're more active. So if it's not happening on this side, just bring the hand to the hip and stay there. Foot's coming in a little bit more. Chest is opening. Gently let go of that foot. Bring the left hand back down to the mat. Come back to your runner's lunge. Let's hop the right foot in, maybe a third of the way. Straighten the legs. Look forward so that you can square the hips. Left hip back, right hip comes forward till they feel more side by side. Come up halfway. Fold over the legs. So legs are straight. And it's nice to think about the navel reaching up between the heart. So you'll get a little bit longer in the spine so you don't round too much in the upper back. And you'll feel a deeper stretch in the backside of the left leg when you do that. So Parsvottanasana, pyramid. Inhale up halfway. Fire up those legs. Bring the hands to the waist. Come all the way up to standing. So either reverse prayer or clasp opposite elbows the other way. Should feel a little awkward to figure out which way the other way is, so not your natural way. Press down into the feet, lift up through the chest, stay nice and long, grounded through the legs, start to come forward halfway. Go slow so you can start to feel if the lower back begins to round. If it does, lift up a little bit and you're not going lower than halfway. Keep the chest opening and the shoulders widening across the back. Elbows wide wherever you are, away from the mat. And then once you're here, those legs are fired up. You're shrugging the quads up. All four corners of both feet are pressing down into the mat, and you're trying to reach that heart forward from the navel. Think about balancing a cup of water on your back like a table. Even though we're not moving, there's a lot happening on the inside. Those muscles are trying to support our bone structure. Press into the feet. Start to press yourself back up. You're going slow, feeling your way all the way back up to standing. Hands and arms stay the same. Then let those arms go. Just move them around a little bit. Dangle, feeling that space we made. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up, palms overhead. And exhale, fold back down over the legs. Hands come to the mat, bend the front legs, step back to plank pose. Make your way back. Downward facing dog. Once you get to downward facing dog, shift forward to plank pose, come back into that forearm plank. Press down to the forearms and the hands, stretch the legs back behind you, get long in the abdomen, long in the tailbone. Shift both heels over to the right, forearm side plank. You can stack the feet. You can keep the feet staggered. You can keep that right arm coming in if you need more space in the shoulder. Lift the left arm up, lift the hips up. Maybe this time you bring the left arm up and over the ear. Keep that left hip pointing forward and not up toward the sky. Come back to forearm plank. Other way, heels go over to the left, forearm side plank, other side. Left forearm down, right arm up, lift the hips up, shift that tailbone down toward the heels. Keep the right hip pointing straight forward, not up to the sky. Maybe right arm over the ear. Back to forearm plank. Separate the feet hip width distance apart. You're coming into dolphin. Hug the belly in, lift the hips up, walk the feet in. Keep pressing the mat away from you. So legs are pretty long here. You should feel like you can get more weight into the legs as you push the mat away from you. Hug the belly in, breathe. And pushing yourself away from the mat should feel good because it creates some space between the face and the mat. Spin those inner thighs back behind you. And then you breathe through it. All right, start to walk the feet back to forearm plank. Set the hips down, Sphinx pose, just as a transition, tops of the feet to the mat, open up across the chest. Bring that left forearm in front of you, bend the right leg, reach for the right foot. Grab that foot, bring it in toward the glute, and keep the chest lifted, looking forward. If you want to lift the chest even higher, you can do that, coming into a deeper back bend. But if you're fine here, you can stay here. Keep that left leg active so you're still pressing into the left top of the foot. And we'll slowly switch sides. Release, right forearm in front of you. Left leg comes in. Get that quad stretch, maybe lifting the chest. Gently release the left foot. Bring the hands back by the lower ribs. It's like you're trying to slide the mat back behind you to come up into upward facing dog. You can stick with cobra if that's your back bend today, and then take it back, downward facing dog. Feel those shoulders widen across the back in your downward facing dog. Feel the legs be a little bit longer. Maybe heels are touching or getting closer to touching on the mat. Backs of the thighs are broad. Then bend the knees, look forward, bring the feet forward, up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. So look straight forward, bring the hands together, just like prayer. Keep the chest nice and open. Start to shift the weight over to the right foot, lift the heel of the left, and just hug that outer right hip in a little bit. So it kind of wants to go out to the side. Hug it in, lift the lower belly, keep the chest nice and wide. We're going to start to balance on the right side. So you're going to grab that left foot behind you. So that same action we've been playing with, and you can reach the right arm up. So left foot's in the left hand, knees are side by side. Get as long as you can in the front and back side of the body. Hand can be on the outside edge of the left foot, or if the shoulders are open enough, start to switch the grip so that you grab the big toe side of the left foot. If it's too much, switch back to the outside. But we did a lot of shoulder opening, a lot of back bending. So keep that foot pressing into the left hand, the hand pressing back into the foot. You'll feel the leg fire up. Hug the belly in, look straight forward, start to tip forward. Same thing as before, you're not going lower than halfway. Those inner thighs are engaged, belly's hugging in. You can lift the foot up and back as much as the back will let you. Keep reaching forward with the right arm and the gaze. Try not to open the left hip. Keep spinning the inner left thigh back behind you. Going for length in the lower back. Breathe, keep this focus. Dancer's pose. Slowly start to make your way back up to the top. Keep the hand and the foot connected. Keep reaching the right arm up. Come back up to standing. Gently release that left foot down. Bring the hands together, back down in front of the heart. So feel that pose start to work through the body. The legs feel a little bit different. Energy is going, blood is pumping. We're gonna go straight into the other side. So keep the gaze straight forward, eye level, find your drishti. Start to shift over to the left foot, lift the right heel. Here's where you hug that outer lift hip in and lift the lower belly. Bend the right leg, reach back, grab for the foot, probably outside edge of the foot, reach the left arm up. Just to get started. Inner thighs, it's like they're spinning back behind you. Knees are next to one another. Play with switching the grip on the right hand. Maybe it comes to the big toe side of the foot. So now here's where you're evaluating the shoulder. Is there enough space to keep the hand like this? If not, go back to the outside edge of the grip or of the foot. Keep looking forward, press the foot into the hand back into the foot. Keep that tension as you start to tip forward, no more than halfway. Try not to open up the right hip. Nice, slow, and controlled. Left inner thigh spinning back behind you. Keep reaching forward with the gaze on the left arm. Maybe the foot comes up higher behind you. Without opening up the knee, breathe. Slowly start to bring yourself all the way back up. Keep the hand and the foot connected if you can. Back up to standing. Release the foot, bring the hands together, back down in front of the heart. Step the left foot back 2/3 of the way. So it's just like pyramid pose. Those left toes are pointed out at an angle. Bring the hands to the hips, point them straight forward. Reach the left arm all the way up. Keep the right hand on the right hip. Keep pulling the right hip back. Come forward halfway as you reach forward with the left arm. Right hip still pulling back. Left hand comes down inside the foot, maybe on the ankle or outside the foot for the deepest variation. Open up the chest, keep pulling the right hip back. Reach the right arm up when you feel ready. So legs go down, open up across the chest, get long in the spine. Look down at the mat. Start to bring the hands to the waist. Come all the way up to standing. Step the left foot forward to meet the right. Switch sides. Right foot goes back 2/3 of the way. Square the hips forward using the hands. Reach that right arm all the way up to the sky. Root down through the legs. Start to come forward halfway. Pull that left hip way back with the hand as you reach forward with the right arm. Then right hand comes down inside the foot, outside, maybe on the ankle. As you open the chest and pull the hip back, maybe the left arm goes up. Doesn't have to. Use blocks if you want to underneath that right hand. So every muscle in your body's working. Those legs are working hard to keep you supported, and the spine's working hard to find the length and the twist. Look back down at the mat. Hands come to the waist. Come all the way up to standing. Step the right foot next to the left foot. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga. Inhale up for your back bend. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths in your downward facing dog. Then you'll glide forward to plank pose. Lie all the way down on your stomach. Slowly set yourself down. Tops of the feet come down to the mat. Reach the arms back behind you as you press into the tops of the feet. Maybe you keep the hands separated, or you can interlace the fingers, pointing back with the knuckles. Lift the chest up, feet down, coming back into Shalabhasana, fingers interlaced. Stay like this, or maybe you hover the feet away from the mat. Stay like this, or maybe you bend the legs, lifting the thighs. Set the feet back down, release the hands, make a pillow with the hands, rest the forehead, or turn the face to one side. Hips can move side to side. So you can stick with one of those variations that we just tried. I'll give you another option. Lift the head, reach the arms back. Shalabhasana is up for grabs. Stretch the legs back, lift the arms. Fingers can be interlaced if you want, or set the feet back down. Lift the chest a little bit higher. Bend the legs at the same time. See if you can grab the ankles or the tops of the feet. Lift up Dhanurasana. A lot of back bending, a lot of grabbing the foot. Breathe wherever you are. Set the legs back down, set the head back down, rest. One more time, Dhanurasana or some other back bend variation that we've been playing with. Reach the arms back behind you, lift the chest, bend the legs. See if you can grab the feet or the ankles. Thighs stay hip width distance apart, or knees stay hip width distance apart. Lift the legs. Same thing. Foot presses into the hands, hands back into the feet. You lift up, keep the chest open. Knees are pretty narrow, not touching. Breathe. You can even rock a little bit. One more breath. Exhale brings you back down to the mat. Rest the head. Be heavy. Ankles can roll out. Now bend the legs, move the feet side to side like windshield wipers. Set the feet back down onto the mat. Bring the hands back by the lower ribs. Come into child's pose. Big toes together, knees wide, sit the hips back. Start to walk the hands in toward the body. Come to seated on your mat. Bring the feet down to the mat and bring that right leg behind. Just bend the right leg underneath you and step the left foot over the right thigh. So we're coming into a seated twist. Reach that left arm up to the sky. Bring that left arm back behind you, and you can wrap the right arm around the bent leg, sitting up nice and tall. You could even hook the elbow. But go for length in the spine. Sit down into both hips and find your twist. Gaze goes back over that left shoulder. And slowly start to look forward over the right shoulder, gazing over the top of the mat. Unwind the arms facing forward. You can grab the outer edge of this left ankle, bring it out to the side, working to stack the knees. If it's too much, you can always extend the right leg out in front of you and just cross one leg. So half Gomukhasana or full with the legs. Make sure you're even on both hips. Reach the arms all the way up. Bring the hands down in front of you, and you see how far forward your body wants to fold. You don't have to force it. Close the eyes and feel your way into it. We're all so different. So some of us, this isn't going to be as challenging, and some of us, it's really challenging. And wherever you are, you just breathe and you allow the hips to open. Start to walk the hands back in, making your way up to seated. Hands can go back behind you. Uncross the legs. And we'll go the other way. So that left leg bends underneath you. Step the right foot. The whole sole of the right foot is down on the mat. Sit up nice and tall. Reach that right arm up to the sky. You can hang onto this left knee so you can keep that right hip down, or hang onto the right knee so you can press the right hip down. Then reach back. Fingertips come down behind you. Sit up nice and tall. Then you decide, are you grabbing that left knee with the left, or right knee with the left arm, or hooking the elbow? Gaze over the right shoulder or in the direction you're twisting in. Take another inhale, get a little bit more lift. Exhale on the twist. And start to move the gaze back over the left shoulder. Unwind the chest. Same options as before. You can grab this right ankle, move it out to the left, stacking the knees, or extend that bottom leg and do half Gomukhasana. Could be a different decision on this side, and that's totally fine. Reach the arms up, feel rooted in both hips. Find where your pose is. Close the eyes. Maybe you start to lean forward. If it's really challenging, hands can come back behind you and you can just work on the length of the spine, sitting upright. If you're pretty good about folding forward and you need a place for the chin, it could go over the top knee. Start to walk the hands in, come back up to seated, bring the hands back behind you, uncross the legs, extend them out in front of you. Let's take a seated forward fold. Press out through the heels, reach the arms all the way up, reaching with the navel through the heart, fold forward. You should feel like the hips shift back when you get about halfway, reaching forward. And wherever the hands want to come, maybe on the mat on either side of the legs, maybe you grab the feet. If you're feeling really long, you want to put a block behind the feet, you can do that. Start to make your way back up. Stay up for a seated meditation or lie down onto your backs for Shavasana. You decide, get into a place of stillness, make yourself comfortable with whatever you choose, wherever you choose to be. Close the eyes. Take a deeper breath in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth and start to drop in. Shavasana, seated meditation. Enjoying the quiet. If you're in your seated meditation, stay right where you are. If you're in Shavasana, start to take a deeper breath in through the nose. Exhale back out through the nose, starting to wake up. Stretch the arms overhead. Then you'll walk the feet in, bending the knees. Make your way onto your right side. And slowly start to come up to easy cross-legged seat. Use the hands to bring yourself back up for support. So you can stay in this quiet place a little longer. Bring the hands together in front of you. Bow the head to honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. So a lot of back bends today. This practice was to wake you up, make you feel a little bit more energized for the day. So if it's something that you enjoy and want to hang on to, it's a good tool for all that. Have a good one.